Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of BMX Coach Live. I'm your host, three-time Olympic coach Greg Romero, and man, what a week that we had this past week with the Olympic Games being in Tokyo in 2020. Actually, it's 2021, but COVID hit and things got postponed. And man, what a crazy, crazy, crazy race. Man, we're doing this live here, so we have a bunch of people in the audience. Just want to give a quick shout out to JP. Nathan says, "Hey, Coach." Jacob James says, "I'd like to know how Connor is doing." Kale Thomas says, "Hey, Coach." Rob Doherty, Jason P. Ellie Sellers says, "Hey, Coach, how are you?" "I'm doing well. Thank you so much for asking." Harley Cotton says, "Hi." Corey BMX says, "Can we see the Elise's crash?" Oh man, I don't have that one, but man, I do have. I want to break down both the women's final and, more importantly, because there was so much action involved in the men's final, I really want to break that one down a lot. The women's final, man, it was pretty clean. I think it was crazy, right? And so, well, it wasn't crazy, but it was pretty clean, right? But I would say, wow, the Olympic Games, man. This is my first time actually not being there as a coach. And it was I was so relieved in a funny way just watching things happen and unfolding. And I've been on both sides where I've had athletes medal, and man, you as a coach and you as athletes, if you guys do really well, you're just on the highs of highs, right? If you don't make the main or you crash, if you're a coach, if you're an athlete, you're just on the lows of the low. I didn't really get it until I was actually at home watching everything unfold live and just seeing the bipolar of emotions, right? Of the highs and lows of the lows. And man, as a fan, it's just crazy to watch. And of course, coming from me who's been there, I've experienced that high of high. I've experienced the lows of lows. And it's just like, it's crazy awesome when the athletes do well, and then if they don't, it's crazy. If they don't get top three, everyone else that's there is just kind of like having some hard reflections and hard thinking, and emotions are popping up from different sources of all over from their unconscious mind. And it's the Olympic Games, man. It will definitely reveal a lot of character. It will definitely reveal a lot of unresourceful emotions if you don't do well. It will definitely reveal, where it'll definitely get you to question where you're at in the path of BMX, but not only BMX, but life. It's crazy. And of course, I'm also being a fan of watching other sports. I'm watching gymnastics, swimming is awesome, watching some track cycling, watching a little bit of volleyball, and of course, an assortment of other sports. I've been watching mountain biking. Anyone watch the cross-country mountain biking? Man, that was crazy. Like, that course was nuts. But man, out of all the sports, and I'm not biased here, BMX racing seems like the most insane thing going on at the Olympic Games. I mean, it's crazy. I watched BMX freestyle. That's pretty crazy. I'm surprised there wasn't that many crashes. But BMX racing, there's so many uncontrollables, and that's the problem, right? Like, it's one thing where you come down the starting hill that's fast as hell, and you have to be able to have the skills and the emotional and mental fortitude and mastery to even navigate the track. And then you have to be able to navigate other people riding the track next to you, and they're fighting for position. And when you have that mix of high level skills where you have to be in the flow, and then of course add in the components of other riders that are trying to outride you on the track and ride you off the track, if you will, and it is a recipe for disaster. And that's why when we see people crossing the finish line, it is so much relief. There's so much work. As you guys know over here on the BMX Training Channel, how much work does it take for you guys to actually prepare, right? To have the skills, to go out there and race, to have the courage, to put yourself out there, to be vulnerable, right? To crash and get up. It takes so much, not only physical, but a lot of emotional and mental IQ, strength, courage, etc. And to see these guys put themselves out there and they get these medals, it's so much relief. It's like, oh my gosh, I did it. I can't believe I did it. The work has paid off. That seems to be the trend of these guys that have medaled this Olympics, right? Because, and at the same time, man, I have never seen the lowest of lows. You have guys like Connor Fields, Elise Post, some of the favorites, Laura Smulders, Joris Daudet, just to name a few, 2-2 in both the men's and the women. And oh my gosh, like, it's talk about the agony of defeat. All these guys experienced crashes and they were all, I would say red hot favorites, right? And so, let's get into it, man. Like, I wanted to bring up this girl here. Let's see if I can bring this video up. Felicia Stansel. I thought she was a favorite here. She's beating Laura Smulders in qualifying, right? Just smoking her, just hole shotting and running the table on Laura Smulders, who's a silver medalist, a pro world champion. I thought Felicia got fourth. And so, I felt she held court pretty good. She was prepared. She looked strong and certainly impressive, right? And so I don't have the Elise crash. I wish I would have got it and brought it up. But Elise had a little bad luck because she got hit from behind in that first semi. And when she went down, it was pretty much over, right? Like, she had 8 points and then she had to, she had to make up the deficit, right? And she was doing it. She had 8 in the first one, 3rd in the second one, which gave her 11. And she was in the hunt for a qualifying spot in the final. And she was in second behind Saya Sakakibara. And I don't know what happened down the third straight. They just got tangled up, and Saya took a really bad crash, and it was nasty. And Elise, I think honestly, all she needed to do was get second, and she would have easily made the final. And I would say that she was probably, she was the she was the Golden Girl favorite to actually win that medal, go from an upgrading from silver to gold, and then of course you have the story of Mariana Pajón. And so I say we just jump straight into the women's final and take a look at that and see if we cannot make sense of it. I wish we could pause this, but my program doesn't have it. But, Bethany Shriver, holy smokes, what a performance with her. She did not lose a lap through qualifying, semi-qualifying, and I was watching her demeanor, and she was just impressive, right? Like, she just seemed like she even swore in front of the camera on NBC. It was awesome. She was like, let's fucking go. And she had nothing to lose. She was just straight going for it. And I would say, if you guys could take anything from that, that's what you want. You want to be able to come in with a nothing to lose attitude when it comes to high stakes BMX racing. And Bethany, if anything that we could take from her, thank you so much, because you reminded me of just going for it. Here on the last straight, Mariana made a big push. Bethany, you could tell when she crossed the finish line, she was absolutely exhausted physically, and obviously she just didn't have the energy mentally, emotionally. Lauren Reynolds, I thought that was awesome for her, the elder statesman here making the final, and here she is. She's in third here. And Mariana, I thought she rode a really good race here. She passed Meryl Smulders, the sister of Laura Smulders, for the second spot, and she put a pretty good. She made a really good run at Bethany, but Bethany, man, she looked strong. She looked powerful. She looked prepared. I really loved how she was dropping the wheel on that double step down going into the first turn. And she rode a very smart race. She didn't take any lines that were unnecessary. She stayed underneath the paint and on all these corners, didn't take any wide lines unnecessarily to, where, a lot of riders, they were taking the turns way too high and they were spending too much time in the turns. This track was absolutely long, right? It was close to 400 meters, over 40 seconds long. While the track didn't seem super tech, it was super long. And when it comes to Olympic racing, where not only do you need to be prepared physically, but you also need that gas to help fuel that emotional and mental energy that you need at the Olympics. There's so much pressure. There's so much at stake. There's so many things going through you in terms of thoughts and emotions, and trying to get back to that flow state, to that present moment is so important, and it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of guts. Man, major props to Bethany Shriver, Mariana Pahone, Meryl Smulders. Meryl's now an Olympic medalist along with her sister Laura. I thought that was fantastic. That was something that was very touching, right? What else can we say? What else can we say about the women? They did really well. Would have loved to see Elise in there. Would have loved to see Felicia, who got the 4th place medal here, who looked fantastic. Would have loved to see her get a medal. Was talking to her coach Sean Dwight, and he said that Felicia was straight up emotionally shifted out of state after seeing her training mate Connor go down. Connor, of course, had that nasty crash. We'll get to that here in a second. Had that nasty crash, and Felicia, she was emotionally, mentally invested with Connor. They were going there to win medals, and when she saw Connor go down, she couldn't take it, and that's a tough one to shake, because when you're up there and you're 8 meters up, standing up on that starting hill, and you see someone having to get rushed out of there, right, by the medics, it makes you think about the vulnerability of life, right? Like, straight up, you don't know if the guy is like, Connor went, thank God he's doing better today. Was talking to his coach and said he's doing much better. Certainly he's out of ICU, and I imagine he'll be in the hospital for a while. I imagine he's not going to get on a flight anytime soon, considering that he experienced a traumatic brain injury. And much prayers are in vibes. Please send him over to Connor. Connor is a great man. But Felicia, for the most part, got shifted out of state. All right, so let's move on to the men. Let's go to the standouts. One of the guys that stood out to me was Twan Van Gent, who showed up with the 2-speed here, and I really loved. Twan's a really good guy. All the Netherlands guys are really, really. They're humble. They work hard. They know how to party, but they're really stand-up guys, and I really like these guys a lot. And Twan Van Gent, he just looked awesome out there with the 2-speed, and I thought that he was going to make the final and make a run at a medal for sure. And of course, Twan Van Gent, Twan was in the moto with, Nick Kieman, the eventual winner of the gold medal, over here in second, or actually he just passed Twan. He was paired up with his countrymate Twan, and there he goes. Nick just passed Twan because Twan made a mistake there. But Nick had some drama of his own, right? Nick cracked his kneecap in practice 4 days prior because an official decided to run out on the 3rd straight, and Nick locked it up, smashed the official, smashed his kneecap, raced with a broken kneecap, which was impressive. But he just held court, right? Like, he just did what he had to do. Was he got through qualifying, got paced out by Twan, and obviously we'll break down what Nick did. And yes, I thought Twan stood out. I thought he was fast out there. Oh, it says stream unavailable. What happened? Your stream has been terminated because we detected copyright audio. Jeez. Uh-oh. Copyright audio. Where's the audio? All right, so we're experiencing some technical difficulty. It looks like, are we? She couldn't take it, and that's a tough one to shake, because when you're up there,